This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it is time for What in the World with
Paul Seaburn. Hi, Karen.
Hi, how are
I'm
you?
doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm staying nice and warm, not going out in the snow.
Oh, that's right. Today is the official first day of winter since it's been snowing all day here in Cleveland.
Yes, it has.
And if you're watching the screen, the third face over there is our good buddy John DiNallo with Wide World of Sports. Hi, John.
Hi, Paul. Hi, Karen. Yeah, it's good to
Hi.
be indoors right now in Cleveland. That's
No
for sure.
kidding. Yeah, it really just blew right in. We had that. We had, um, here we are we're in Brecksville, Ohio, which is just south of Cleveland. And this weekend, over the weekend, we had hurricane force winds
Yes, we did.
throughout the entire weekend and overnight. Trees down, power down. It's stuff is happening. 2020. I can't wait for it to be over.
Well,
I
the
hope that-
the Cleveland Browns played in that wind, and they
Yes.
won.
Yes. That was
It was a big win for
good
them.
news in
Yeah.
Cleveland. That's it. 6-3. What more can you say? It was a great weekend as far as sports goes for Cleveland sports fans.
Absolutely.
So, but as always, John will top that. John's got some sports today. I have a little bit. John's got some sports today that will knock your socks off, Karen.
I'm
Anyway.
not wearing socks.
Oh, you're not wearing socks. Well, I mean, I'm not going to say what it's going to knock off then. Because
Okay.
we're not that kind of show.
That's just a phrase, of course. That was just
Oh,
a phrase.
got
Yeah,
it.
figure of speech. That's right.
That's
So, anyway, so here we are at what are we? What in the world? Thank you.
In the world, yes. that's
Real,
correct.
our motto: real news, sometimes strange, always funny. Everything we talk about today is right off the internet, which everyone knows is real. Stories from around the world. We're coming to you live on YouTube. We're coming to you courtesy of newclevelandradio.net, of which Karen is the media mogul. Go to newclevelandradio.net where you find all the places you can download What in the World, in addition to the many fine podcasts that Karen has put together on New Cleveland Radio. Runs the gamut. I'm not even going to try to begin. If you, any kind of podcast you need, you're going to find it at New
You
Cleveland Radio.
absolutely can.
Excuse me. And the as far as the weird stories go, I am the editor and head writer at Mysterious Universe. So a lot of some of the stories you'll see on mysteriousuniverse.org. Please give them a visit. And let's get right to it, because I have a ton of stories. I know we're not going to get to all of them from around the world. I've got, let's see, I've got flying cars in Florida. I've got robots in Japan. I've got fish that play video games. Fish that play video games. Get
I
ready
don't
for that.
believe you.
I heard that, Paul. I did hear that. It did register. It did register.
And we even leave the planet. We're going to talk about an asteroid filled with cream. We're going to go to Vatican and find out what the Pope thinks about robots. You're going to love this story, John. We're going to Uganda, where mongoose, I guess that would be mongooses,
Mongoose.
mongoose are conducting war games between each other, and we'll find out why they do that. And then there's just a ton of other stories. And John has a very unusual what in the world of sports story for us. I've got tons of trivia. I've got visual aids. So let's get right to it with our first story, which comes from Italy. John, this is for you,
Okay.
Mr. DiNallo.
Yes, the ancestry. That's good to hear. It's good to hear.
A sketch artist in Italy broke a Guinness World Record. And I love talking about world records. He broke a Guinness World Record when he spent 5 days drawing a massive doodle that measures 6,118 square feet. So I tried to take a picture of it, but you can't see anything. But it's like a whole parking lot full of doodle. I mean, this thing is so big. He told his mom about it, And she said, well, we're going to need a bigger refrigerator if you want me to hang it.
Okay.
There you go.
But huge, and just doodle stuff. Okay, and it got me thinking as these stories I want to do. Does anyone doodle anymore? Karen, do you doodle?
No, I normally don't even use a pen or a pencil.
Okay. You are a person of the 21st century then. John, do you doodle?
I do, and I doodle when I'm on the phone.
Very good, very
on
good.
the phone. Now, yeah, it's just, it's a habit that goes back, to grade school probably. Okay,
Exactly.
just writing. A pen in hand, and yeah. But if I'm not on the phone, I'm not going to doodle. I don't think. I'm going to write things down on, a piece of paper or whatever. Because again, everything is on the internet now and in your
That's
phone.
right.
So yeah.
Well,
But
there's
when
a
I'm on the phone,
psychological explanation for that, believe it or not. But as you pointed out, homes in the 60s and 70s had landline phones, the big massive things, not cell phones. And they were always in an area where you have a pad and you would doodle. And that's what people did while you were talking on the phone.
Right.
You were drawing little things. And that's how people found out that they were actually artistic and maybe wanted to go to art school, or they weren't artistic and became writers. But I was intrigued by the word doodle. Where did this word come from? Where did this begin? And believe it or not, the word doodle first appeared in the 17th century, and it means, believe it or not, it means a fool or a simpleton, a doodle. And it's a German word, comes from the German word doodletopf or doodledop, which means simpleton or noodle, which apparently is an insult in Germany to call someone a noodle.
Wow.
Yeah. So the verb to doodle, then, that was a noun. The verb to doodle means, also in Germany, to swindle or to make a fool of. So if you doodled someone, it was not sexual. It was you were fooling them, although maybe it was sexual. I don't know. But the modern meaning of the word in Germany, again, it's a term for a politician who does nothing in office at the expense of his constituents, which means we have a Congress full of doodles, I think.
Yes, we do.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree. I would have to agree.
And that's what it. So doodle generally means to do nothing. And that's where it came from, and that's what you're basically doing while you're talking on the phone. You're keeping your hand occupied by doing nothing. So anyway, so a little bit of info on the word doodle. And yeah, Karen, you ought to get back into doodling. It's good.
Oh, you want me to do nothing?
Wait a minute. Wait. Oh, I'm sorry. I not spoiled it, didn't I? Okay. Moving on to other things that people do for nothing, or to kill time. This amazes me. Now, I know there's a lot of Elvis Presley fans in the world. Hopefully, some of our listeners. Even though Elvis passed away, like in the 70s?
77, I think it was.
1977, John. I knew you would have a good date. So, a lock of Elvis's hair, which his barber swept up off the floor after Elvis left from getting his hair cut, is going up for auction very soon, and is expected to sell for, get ready for this, $8,000. Now, I just happen to have a picture of this lock of hair. You take a look at that. That's it, and it's on an official little index card, which says this is really fastened to the card with Scotch tape, which makes it even more official. I have one problem with this, though. If this is really Elvis's hair, why isn't the card greasy? It looks.
Yeah. Well, no, wait a second. He washed his hair before he started cutting it, so there's no.
Right.
Oh, I didn't think he ever.
Sure.
ungreased
Well,
hair. I think that was a sacrilege
Oh,
in
well, yeah.
I don't know about that.
I
I'm
don't
sure
know.
hey, Paul, I'm sure that, and Karen, there's some information on that. I'm sure somewhere, right? There's got to be some information somewhere.
Oh,
about-
Is that certified that it's his
yeah.
hair?
Oh, yeah. It's certified. The auctioneers. It was a legitimate auction house. I don't remember what the name of it was, but these are generally legitimate auction houses that they don't want to ruin their reputation by selling fake Elvis hair.
Yeah.
So it got me wondering. I wonder if that was from the fat Elvis or the skinny Elvis. You can't really tell. Although I was thinking, if it's from the fat Elvis, it would be more sweaty than from the thin Elvis. So sweaty, not greasy, which is I think people say that about me too. Also, and along with this, not quite as interesting, they're also selling a racquetball racket that belonged to Elvis. Now, I can't imagine Elvis playing racquetball at all. The only thing I can imagine, especially if it's the fat Elvis, is that the racket is like about 6 feet long, so he doesn't have to bend over too far to hit the ball. But yeah, a racket, which is also supposed to sell for $8,000.
Huh.
So that's peanuts in Elvis world, because I looked up some Elvis memorabilia. The most expensive piece of Elvis memorabilia ever sold was a 24 karat gold leaf grand piano from Graceland, which I think he may have used in concerts too, that sold for $600,000 in 2015. $600,000. That's the most expensive piece of Elvis memorabilia. Another one very close to the top, I think it was number 3, his peacock jumpsuit. Now I remember that, that was from his Vegas period. And it was his favorite costume because he thought peacocks brought good luck. Well, I guess we know what happened there. So this white jumpsuit embroidered with the blue and gold peacock sold for $300,000 in 2008. Wow. Yeah, $300,000. Now, for Elvis, the most expensive memorabilia was Priscilla, who got half of all his money during the divorce. Yeah, a little bit of Elvis trivia there.
So I have a question.
Of course, sure. Ask me anything, Karen.
I'm going to ask you. So I have this racket, from racquetball that was Rich's. He has
Little Richard?
No.
You were Richard.
Richard, whatever.
Richard Hale, yes.
He hasn't used it to play racquetball in 40 years. So
40 years. 40, is it wooden?
No.
Believe it or not.
No, his is. His is wooden. Yes.
Yeah, I had one. John and I went to college together. I think everybody who watches or listens to the podcast knows that. And we used to play racquetball at school. And at that time, I had a wooden racket. That was my very first racquetball racket. I may still have it, but I may have thrown it out. Sorry, they're worthless. Nobody.
It was a popular sport in the 70s. It was a very popular sport in the 70s, right?
70s and 80s, yeah.
Into the 80s, sure.
Especially when they came out with the titanium and metal rackets, really sped the game up.
Very much so.
So, no, I'm sorry, Karen. Find something else of his to sell.
Okay.
I'm not even. Let's not go into that.
Okay.
Karen is a big music fan. This is for you, Karen. This is something that you might want to consider. Company by the name of Novetto Systems came out with something called the Sound Beamer 1.0, which it claims will beam sounds directly into your brain. Music, talk, noise, you name it, directly into your brain without the need for headphones or speakers or anything like that. I personally don't want this because the voices in my head are already fighting all the time. Next thing, why is he playing that? Bowie. We wanted the Eagles. So I'm not interested in that. But I think the first people that would be interested in this is grocery stores. Think about it. They already play music that is allegedly developed by advertising to force you to go to certain aisles and things like that. Why bother with that? Just beam right into my head. You want Oreos. You want beer. You want potato chips.
Yeah.
You're looking good. You can eat all that stuff. Just that kind of message. But they claim that it actually works. It'll be on sale maybe for Christmas, but most certainly next year. And in fact, I was thinking, okay, so maybe I might listen to it. I might try it. And then I happened to be listening to music by one of my all-time favorite artists, Lou Reed. And I'm listening to Walk on the Wild Side. So I can just imagine I'm getting Walk on the Wild Side beamed directly into my head. I'm too old for that. I'm going to get into too much trouble getting instructions from Lou Reed. So
no, you're never too old, Paul. You're never too old.
Never too old to listen to Lou Reed. Too old to follow him.
Yes.
All right. So now we move from, I don't remember where Novetto was. I think it was in England. We're going to go to Spain. And I love this story, especially because I have a great visual aid to go with it. It comes from Palencia, Spain. So when a building in Palencia, Spain had a statue attached to the front of it, and the head fell off, or something happened to the head. So they hired a sculptor, an artist, to recreate the head. Let's take a look at the new head, the old head and the new head. Take a look at this, John, if you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it before.
I'm guessing you can pick out the old head and the new head, right?
Wow. There's quite a difference. Wow.
This actually was on ABC Nightly News.
Yeah, this was big news. This was big news. It's so bad that the artist himself took a picture to his mom, and his mom said, "I'm not putting that on the refrigerator." So to me, this looks like that. They claim they hired this artist. To me, this looks like what happens in all of our neighborhoods is you get a knock at the door, and there's a guy who says, "Hey, I just finished paving the driveway down the street, and I got some materials left over. How about if I do yours? I'll charge you a couple $100." Same thing happened at this building. This guy shows up. He says, "Hey, I was working on that statue down the road. I got some cement left. I could fix that baby up for you. 200 lira. That's all." Or Spain. I'm not sure what the money is in Spain. That's all. That's what it looks like. Who in their right mind would think that this is art?
I mean, that's horrible.
No, it's not good. It is not good at all.
Yeah.
Yes.
The lovely Donna mentioned that the new one looks like Mr. Bill.
Yeah.
It could be Mr. Bill, right, from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah,
sure.
It's an old reference for us old hosts. That's right, Mr. Bill from the 70s Saturday Night Live.
Yeah,
that's right.
sure.
That's right. So who would I don't get it. I just don't get it. But okay, so now let's do a little nature story here. This nature story comes from South America. So there's this there's a spider in South America they just discovered. And to avoid these spider guys sit by the web, and watch it day and night. And they found out that to avoid being eaten during sex, now this is consumed eaten, they found that these male false crab spiders is what they're called, false crab spiders. The males bite the larger females, the females are bigger than them, on the legs, and then they tie the legs up with silk from their web so that the females don't eat them while they're having sex, because that's something spiders do. I think that's how black widows got their name. So apparently this happened with these false crab spiders. So I'm thinking, I can just imagine these scientists watching. Oh, did you see that? He tied her up. Calling their friends over. I think the spiders probably do the same thing. I have friends who would pay to see something like that. Not John, of course.
Oh,
No, no. I'm hoping it wasn't me. I was hoping it wasn't me.
Can you imagine that in nature? They actually they think that the bite paralyzes the legs so that they can, quickly reach behind them and pull out some web and wrap them up like at a rodeo, and
Wow.
then have sex and then run before they come to and say, well, gee, that was good, but I'm hungry.
Oh, Lord.
Sticking with nature for a minute, we go to bats. Bats are always in the news. So this study, I don't remember where these bats are from. Probably South America. Male wrinkle-faced bat. The world's ugliest bat, by the way. Which the bar is pretty low because I can't name any good-looking bats.
no.
Louisville sluggers maybe, but other than that, I can't think of a good-looking bat. So according to this new study, the males of the wrinkle-faced bat have a fold under their skin, the old wattle, that they can raise up and actually cover their face so that it makes a mask, because they make loud noises during sex, and that masks the noise. Okay.
Wow.
That was fascinating, but I think even more interesting is that these bats have figured out a way to convince females to have sex with them while they're wearing a mask. There's a lot of people right now that would like to know how to do that.
Yeah, how do you do it?
I don't. Oh, well, I just happen to have a picture, Karen.
You do?
Get ready. Wait, get that censor button ready.
Okay, it's ready.
Here you go. There's the bat wearing his mask.
Oh.
Who would want to have sex with that?
Pretty
mask
hideous.
or no mask?
Pretty hideous, if you ask
Yeah.
me.
Oh,
Wow.
I had a picture of them with the mask down, but it's too hideous.
Okay.
Far too hideous for what in the world. So I just, so I'm sure some of my friends, the same ones that would pay to watch the spiders tying each other up, would like to see that going on. So anyways, okay, that's enough for nature. Let's see how we're doing on time. Get back to, we're going to go to Japan.
Okay.
So this story comes out of Japan. And the Japanese are technologically superior to us, so this is understandable. They now use robots in malls. They still have malls, okay, that are open. I have a friend in Japan, one of my writers, and he says life is almost back to normal in Japan. And they had the virus just like everybody else did. So they use these robots. They're called RoboV robots, to maintain social distancing in the malls and in stores. So these robots, they're on wheels, they go wheeling around. And if you get too close to someone less than 6 feet, they come up and they chastise you and tell you you're not social distancing. And they really let you have it if you don't have a mask on. So, but to keep people from tipping them over, in disgust, after they lecture you about the social distancing, then they take a polite voice and they say, well, can I help you find something? Because they also have an inventory of the entire store, and they'll lead you to honest to God, the Japanese, they're smart people. They really are smart people. I thought that was pretty good. I don't think it would work in the United States. I think that you go to Walmart and you have a robot come up to you and say, you're not social distancing. I mean, that's the first thing people are going to do is dump them over. Then they're going to probably pull the wheels off and drag them into produce and beat them with cucumbers or something.
That's what happened to me this past weekend at work. I told somebody.
A robot came up to you?
No, I was the robot.
What? Oh, so what did you do? What?
I told somebody they weren't wearing a mask. They had to leave the store.
Did they tip you over?
No, but they started yelling and screaming at me.
That's uncalled for.
I know.
Yeah, it really is.
That's terrible, Karen. That's not right.
No, it's not. And really that's a good example, Karen, of people who won't take orders from a person. Do you really think they would take orders from a robot if they would not take orders from a person?
Well, probably not.
Maybe if the robot had a gun or a cannon coming out of its head.
Oh,
Like those robots in the movies. I have a hard time. I have a hard time taking orders from that box at McDonald's with the voice in it. Pull up to the first window. No, I'm pulling up to the second window. I like the girl in the second window. So anyway, so speaking of robots, that's a lead into my next story, which, John, this is for you.
Okay.
This comes directly from Pope Francis in the Vatican.
Okay.
So Pope Francis every month comes out with his monthly prayer intentions for Catholics around the world to include in their prayers. So last month, Pope Francis asked the world's Catholics to pray that robots and artificial intelligence, and I'm going to quote, robots and artificial intelligence always serve mankind. Now that sounds like a nice thought. Okay, be inclusive of robots into our faith. Except the first thing that came to mind when I saw always serve mankind was the Twilight Zone episode about the cookbook that was called To Serve Man.
How to Serve Man.
You remember that?
I do, of course.
Here's to jog your memory. There's a picture of it from the Twilight Zone, To Serve Man. So how this, Karen, you look like you don't remember that. You were not.
I do remember it.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, if that's what the Pope is saying, he's telling robots they can go ahead and eat us. Not a good thing. That was one of the most popular Twilight Zone. I posted that on Facebook, and I got tons and tons of comments. Everybody said how much they loved that episode. I want to read for you a couple of things, because I'm a huge Rod Serling fan, huge Twilight Zone fan. And I like the opening and the closing of this story. So, and I can't do I wish I could do a Rod Serling impression. So you're just going to have to imagine Rod just put down his cigarette and says, respectfully submitted for your perusal, a Canamet, height a little over 9 feet, weight in the neighborhood of 350 pounds, origin unknown. Motives, therein hangs the tale, for in just a moment, we're going to ask you to shake hands figuratively with a Christopher Columbus from another galaxy and another time. This is the Twilight Zone. So what happens is, the way the story goes, Earth is in trouble, as it always is. There's famines and wars and all that stuff. And these aliens show up, and they're 9 feet tall. And they're called the Canamets. So this one gets off the ship. Actually, a bunch of them get off the ship. And the one that does the telepathy says that his race's motive in coming to Earth is to provide humanitarian aid and share their technology, and including an atomic generator. So this is from the 60s. This was a big deal, an atomic generator, and a fertilizer that would end famine, and a force field to protect the Earth from warfare with outer space people. So, and then he hands over this book and he says, here, read this. So nobody can read it because it's in Canamet. So they give it to this code breaker, and then the episode goes on, and everybody's just, oh, it's so wonderful having these guys here. So at the end, the Canamets say, hey, we want to take some of you back to our planet and show you what it's like. So they start shoving them up the stairs, and everybody's all excited about it. And all of a sudden, the code breaker comes running out, and he says, to serve man, it's a cookbook. And it's too late. They close the door, they take off and take the people to be eaten. So the closing, Rod Serling says, the recollections of one Michael Chambers with appropriate flashbacks and soliloquy, or more simply stated, the evolution of man, the cycle of going from dust to dessert, the metamorphosis from being the ruler of a planet to an ingredient in someone's soup. It's tonight's bill of fare from the Twilight Zone. Oh my God! What a great writer he was. He
was a great writer. He was, and that's hey, Paul. You did that really well, by the way.
Thank you. Acting. So John, okay, Mr. Trivia Man, take a look at that person who's playing the Canamet. Do you remember his name?
Hold it up a little bit.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Let's see.
There,
Oh, there he
we
is.
go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now
I've
he
seen
did
that
it.
episode. I've seen that episode so many times, and it is one of my favorites.
Uh-huh.
I can't tell you his name.
Okay, I'll give you a hint. He was a villain in 2 James Bond movies.
He wasn't Jaws, was he?
Ah, very good. That was his name, Jaws. That was Richard
Okay.
Kyle. Richard Kyle.
Okay.
Very famous, very tall actor. He
Right.
was in The Spy Who Loved Me and Moonraker.
Oh,
He was 7 feet 2 inches tall. So I mean, that's
Wow.
enormous.
Wow.
Yeah, enormously tall for an actor. Before becoming an actor, I looked him up. He worked as a nightclub bouncer. That sounds reasonable, and also a cemetery plot salesman. Now, would you buy a plot from a 7 foot guy, 7 foot 2 inch guy standing who looked like that? You want to buy a plot?
he might intimidate you into the purchase.
Yeah,
Yes.
really. So, and then before becoming an actor, he also, for 2 years, worked as a night school mathematics instructor in Burbank, California. I'd love to get math classes from somebody 7 foot 2 who looked like that. So I thought that was very interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah,
He
very
was
good.
also he played villains in a lot of. He was in the Wild Wild West. A couple other shows where they needed odd-looking villains. A couple of other movies,
Mhm.
and he also played some serious roles. So, interesting career out of Hollywood. Not your normal scandal-plagued people. So, okay, John and Karen, both of you, do you like hot peppers?
You
No,
know,
Karen doesn't.
no, I used to. Okay, when I was younger. Okay,
Mhm.
to date myself, I guess I really did enjoy hot peppers,
We'll
and
get
we
to
had
that.
those at home quite a bit actually. And then as time went on, it became harder and harder for me to enjoy them. So I rarely have them now.
Yeah, depending on how many you ate over your lifetime, you may have done yourself a favor, because doctors have confirmed something that's been a rumor for a long time. Eating chili peppers regularly provides unbelievable health benefits, and will significantly reduce your risk of dying from cardiovascular disease or cancer. It also the capsaicin, I think is what the peppery stuff is called, provides anti-inflammatory. It's an antioxidant, anti-cancer, and a blood glucose regulating substance. So it does all that stuff. All you got to do is pop jalapenos. But the bad news is, you're popping jalapenos, all of a sudden you run into the refrigerator to get some milk, you trip and you fall, and it doesn't matter. Speaking of tripping and falling, I can relate to that. But so and the same thing, John, by the time you could really enjoy the benefits of these hot chili peppers, you're too old to eat them, and you end up eating more Tums than chili peppers, and those definitely aren't good for you.
No, they're not.
Yeah, so that's the way it goes with that.
Interesting story too, Paul. That's good.
I thought so. Yeah. So let's go to Uganda for the mongoose story. Back to nature for a minute. Mongoose warfare. So
it is mongooses.
Mongooses. It's mongooses, not mongoose.
No.
Oh, thank you for checking, Karen.
No, your wife told me.
Oh, really? The lovely Donna. Okay. So these biologists in Uganda are studying mongooses because they got a grant. I think that's how it works. And they watch them, and they're banded mongooses, and they watch these things. And what they do is they form lines, kind of like in the Revolutionary War. One tribe on one side, one tribe of mongooses on the other, and then they charge each other, and they get into this giant ball of fur, and just tear at each other until one side wins, and then the other side steals their women and has sex with them. And this is a way of propagating the species and spreading your seed. They're like animal Vikings. That's what they are. They're just, they pillage and they steal and they war. And I never would have picked mongooses to be the animal Vikings, but apparently that's what they are. which means, okay, if they're that violent, then they are natural to be a sports team mascot. Like the fighting the Wolverines, although they're not doing too well this year. Sorry, Karen. Oh, John too. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they are not doing well.
But we have Cougars and Wildcats and all those others. So now there's the Mongooses. I thought for sure that there would be a college that has the Mongoose as a mascot. And as a matter of fact, not a major college, but there's one. The Hawaii Loa College in Hawaii. Their mascot is the mongoose. They don't participate in any sports. I don't know what they use the mongoose for.
He's the mascot. He is the mascot, though.
The mascot. That's right. That's all you need. He's the mascot.
Sure.
So, so let's talk about this asteroid that's filled with cream. So there's this asteroid. It's called Bennu, and NASA sent, I think, in the European Space Agency sent this satellite up there to study it. And what they did was they dropped like explosives onto the surface and watched how the rocks blew up. And from that, they could tell what the interior of the asteroid was. And they found out that it's soft. It's like a cream-filled egg. That's a quote. They said it was like a cream-filled chocolate egg flying through space. Now, you think asteroids are hard when they hit the ground, they cause all kind of problems. This one would be okay, I guess. Which got me thinking, as these things always do, Cadbury ought to look into this, because if this is this might open up a market for a new candy for astronomers and people who are into asteroids. The cream-filled Bennu, like the cream-filled eggs, which are so such a popular treat during the Easter season. So, of course, that makes me want to find out a little more about Cadbury eggs. And by the way, Karen, even if you're not a Catholic, you can eat Cadbury eggs.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
kosher. They are kosher. So they were invented in 1963. And the thing that intrigued me was, how do they do that? How do they get that cream to look like an egg inside? And I'd ask you, John, but then we all get hungry. So here's how they do it. In case you were wondering, they take two half shells, empty ones. First, they put the white cream in. Then they put a dot of yellow on each one. And then they quickly slam them together and stick them in a heater so that it melts and seals it together. I thought for sure they had some kind of more sophisticated way of doing it, but that's it,
Huh.
For those of you who were wondering how they make Cadbury eggs, that was
I would have never thought it was done like that.
Me neither. No, I was surprised. So John, you don't have tropical fish, do you? I don't recall.
We do not. No, we do not.
Did you ever have them?
Oh yeah, growing up, we had fish. Sure.
Did you think they were smart?
No, not necessarily. They were in our tank, so we were kind of in charge of them. They were not in charge of us.
Okay. Karen, I don't think you have tropical fish either.
No, I had guppies when I was a kid.
Guppies, yeah. That's the ultimate disposable.
They only last for about a day or two.
Yeah, unfortunately. So anyway, so believe it or not, I don't know about guppies, but tropical fish are smarter than you think. And some guy with too much time on his hands and a tropical fish invented a display to fit behind his aquarium that looks like a computer display, except it can sense when the fish comes up to it, like touchscreen. Only this would be nose screen. And then he hooked up Pokemon, what they call Pokemon Ruby. And I don't know how this game goes, but he hooked up this game, Pokemon Ruby, and the fish decided to play it. So the fish would go up and poke the various things that it's supposed to poke. And eventually it actually completed the game, which I think means it won.
Wow.
Yeah, it was sad though, John, because all they had is this little fin, so it couldn't really high five any of the other.
No.
But wait a second, how could he see it? Because their eyes
I don't, Karen. You're thinking too hard here, Karen.
Oh, I
I think it's just a mystery of some kind. I just think
Yeah.
it's a
Mystery,
mystery.
that's right.
It's a mystery.
It's for people. It's a perfect thing for people who feel guilty about having tropical fish and thinking, "Oh my God, I wish there
They're
was something
bored.
to
Yeah.
do." Yeah, they don't like that little skeleton coming out of the treasure chest. What else could we do? Maybe they'll play video games. So I'm thinking, I've never had tropical fish either, but my cousin had piranhas, and we used to love to go to see his piranhas. What kind of video game would a piranha like to play? I'm thinking maybe not Pokemon, Pac-Man.
Yeah.
You know, chomping across.
That would make sense. That would make sense. Sure. Wow.
So anyway, so let's get into some sports here. So John, I had one sports story this week, and we've talked about this before on the show, where UFOs show up at sporting events, and you know, I always wondered, is this aliens coming to watch the games? Do they like any particular sport? And if so, what sport would they prefer? Do you have any ideas, John? If space aliens like ET or something like that, what sport do you think they would like?
Boy, I don't know, Paul. I mean, what are they interested in? It's hard to determine that. I mean,
well, okay. So they had Karen. Any ideas?
Football.
Football. Well, they actually. It appears they like soccer, which is the true football,
Yeah.
not American football,
right?
because
right.
There's been plenty of sightings. However, there's a couple of football players that have seen UFOs as well. I think personally they would like maybe frisbee golf. You know, they could relate to the flying saucers, or maybe the discus in track and field, or you know, they're all tiny. Maybe something where the little guy wins, like wrestling. Turns out they may like. What do they call it? I can never remember this because I don't watch it. Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC, mixed martial art. Turns out this guy, he's a former champion. His name is, I lost it. We'll make one up. Diego Sanchez is his name. Diego Sanchez. He lives in New Mexico. He's an American fighter. He's out on his patio working out for his next fight. 38 years old, and all of a sudden a UFO shows up and hovers over him. So he calls his daughter out, and he claims his daughter came out, and they both stood there looking at this UFO until it flew away. That's pretty much about it. He didn't draw any pictures of it. He didn't take a video.
No pictures.
No pictures. Yeah, I'm sorry. So, but what intrigued me, I wondered if they would like Ultimate Fighting Champion. I'm not sure they would like that. But the thing that I like the best is that this guy had a nickname. His nickname is the Nightmare. The Nightmare. So his full name would be Diego the Nightmare Sanchez. Now, as I said, I don't like UFC, but I like nicknames. I think that sports would be better if we had more nicknames. And when we were kids, John, sports figures did have nicknames.
Sure.
And I'm going to give you some nicknames, both modern and in the past, and see if you remember who the sports guy is.
Okay.
Karen, you're welcome to participate.
Okay. Well, thank you. Yeah.
King James.
LeBron James.
LeBron.
James, of course. The Splendid Splinter.
Ted Williams.
Ted Williams, baseball. Yeah, that baseball has a lot of them. The Yankee Clipper.
Joe DiMaggio.
Oh, DiMaggio. How about this one? I'll give you a hint. This is not baseball. The Real Deal. No idea. Evander Holyfield.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Real Deal. I don't know why they called him that. Now they call him One Ear. The Sultan of SWAT.
Oh, Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth, that's right. When I played baseball, they called me the Sultan of Sweat, which I don't think that was a compliment or a comment on my playing ability. Now here's one for you, John. The Hick from French Lick.
I can tell you who it is. It's Larry Bird.
Larry Bird, that's right, from Indiana. The Hick from French Lick. Sweetness. This
Walter
is appropriate.
Payton. Walter Payton,
that's right, for running back. Too Tall.
Ed Too Tall Jones.
Ed Too Tall Jones, that's right. The Snake.
Kenny Stabler.
Kenny Stable, one of my favorite players. I always liked him. And our final one, Crazy Legs.
Elroy Hirsch.
Elroy Crazy Leg Hirsch. This is going
Wow.
way back in football day. So I think that we should bring back the practice of nicknames. I think that that makes the game more fun when you can yell.
It does.
You suck. Real deal.
You keep the person's name out of it, his real name.
There you go. That's right. It keeps his real. Yeah, that's right. Keeps his real name out of it. All right. So the part of the show that never sucks is when John talks about sports, and I gave John the challenge of coming up with a really strange sport this week, maybe something that we could participate in, and he came up with a good one. So get ready, Karen. Take it away, John.
Okay, I'm ready for this one. So the sport is cheese rolling.
I almost
heard it right.
What?
Right? Cheese. I mean,
cheese rolling.
Karen, think of it. Cheese rolling. Let me explain. So each year during springtime, the Gloucester region of Southwest England hosts an annual cheese rolling event in which people from far and wide travel to watch competitors launch themselves down a very steep hill in pursuit of a round of cheese. Yes, you heard it correctly. A round of cheese. Sounds a bit strange, doesn't it?
That's the sport. England, of course.
It's in England, of course.
Oh, Scotland. I think, isn't that? Oh, that's Southwest England. Okay.
Southwest England, right.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's pretty self-explanatory. A round of double Gloucester cheese that is exactly 9 pounds. These rounds have to be 9 pounds, or they're not regulation. It's rolled from the very top of the hill, and then competitors chased after it's released down to the bottom of the hill. The first person across the finish line is crowned the winner, and of course, the prize is the round of cheese.
Cheese. And if I understand this correctly, they don't even have to grab the cheese.
No. In fact,
they just have to run after it.
You have to run after it, exactly.
And cross the finish line first.
And then that person that crosses the line first is the winner and receives the cheese. Now
we can do this, John. Once my knee heals, we could do this.
We could do this. We definitely could do it. Now, but originally the goal of the game was to catch the cheese, but it became so difficult.
If you know what I mean.
Well, but what the contestants soon discovered was that when the cheese was released, it gained so much speed, it not only became difficult to catch, but it was dangerous. Now,
dangerous. That's what we like in sports.
Dangerous. People became injured trying to pursue the round of cheese. So
now, is this cheese like? Does it have something around it like a plastic or?
From what I understand, it's just got a seal of some kind over it, some kind of seal.
Okay.
Yeah, like a Gouda, like a giant Gouda. Exactly. Yeah.
A 9 pound. Yeah, please. But so to go to the history of it, though, there is a history. There's a couple theories of how the sport came about, which is estimated to be in the 15th century in England. The first theory is that it was used for maintaining grazing rights on the commons. So the various farmers, they're trying to maintain their land or their area,
right.
And it was determined how you would be able to, I guess, roll the cheese.
Roll the cheese, if you know what I mean. So
the second explanation, which I believe is a little more credible, is that it's of a pagan origin, where people would throw bundles of burning brushwood down the hill, representing the arrival of the new year after the winter ends. Okay, so this belief is why the master of ceremony would scatter buns, biscuits, and sweets at the top of the hill to, quote, encourage the fruits of the harvest, unquote. Compete and eat. I mean, that's a nice combination.
Yeah, I like this. I like this. Yeah, better than hot dog. Sure. Bakery, okay. Bakery and cheese. This sounds better and better all the time, John.
Oh, it is. It's a great sport when you think of it. But here it is. The master of ceremony kicks off the event by shouting, 1 to be ready, 2 to be steady, 3 to prepare, at which point the cheese is released, and 4 to be off.
The cheese is released.
We should try this at the Olympics. I mean, I think
this would be great. For the 100-yard dash, 1 to be ready.
That's right. That's right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go.
There you go.
You may ask where the competition takes place. Again, it takes place on Cooper's Hill in the parish of Brockworth, Gloucester, and the main competitors are locals from the village. However, people have come from all over the world to take part in this unusual sport.
I think you should go.
There's no
better
CDC
believe
requirements. Right, exactly. Now, here it is. You do not need to meet any criteria, and there's no paperwork, but you have to arrive on time, and you have to identify yourself to the organizers. There's a group of people who are organizers, and you have to say, I am John DiNallo from the United States, and I'm here to compete in the rolling cheese event. And
you have
to bring your own,
like a ringer from the United States.
You have to bring your own cheese.
No, they provide the cheese.
Oh,
right. So, but let's talk about the hill though, because I don't think
let's talk about
what Cooper's Hill is. So it drops away at a near 70-degree angle, and then shifts to 50 degrees, and then plunges again, and then levels out, and then falls before abruptly flattening to the bottom. It sounds to me like the perfect sport for people who like roller coasters.
Yeah, 70 degrees. Now, when John told me he was going to cover this, I had to look it up. I wanted to get some pictures. And the one, I hope you can see this. There's a tiny little, to the left, there's a little ball. You can see a little tiny cheese. But look at how steep that hill is that these people are running down.
Climbing them up?
Yeah. Over by this guy's head, there's a little tiny ball of wheel of cheese that they're looking at.
Wow.
But they're running 70-degree angle. That's terrifying.
Well, and this would appeal to people who like demolition derbies. Okay.
Oh,
and
definitely.
That's the point of the injuries, people colliding with one another.
Yeah.
As they're trying to get down there to get to cheese.
Oh, there were pictures of people laying across the
right, exactly. Okay, sure. And to that point, Paul, provided the runners are still on their feet when they get to the bottom, they're tackled by rugby players to prevent them from crashing into a fence.
Oh,
so you have these people headlong going down, and then before they get to the fenced off area or beyond the fenced off area, rugby players tackle them, so they'll be safe.
I'm not playing this game, John.
No, the more I think about it, Paul, I don't think we're going there.
Sounded great until the rugby players at the end.
Exactly. So anyway, runners aren't the only ones at risk, because bystanders have been hurt by the out of control runners, but more often by bouncing cheeses. So sometimes, depending on how the cheese goes, the cheese could go.
Bouncing cheese. Is that covered on insurance?
Well, but think of it this way: it's 9 pounds. Okay,
yeah.
that's like a rock. That's like a rock coming in to hit you.
It's a lot of cheese.
Yeah. So the chase chaos of 1990 racked up 22 casualties, including a 59-year-old grandmother who was knocked unconscious by the cheese. So. Come for the cheese and stay for the concussion, as someone just told me.
This sounds like something that should be popular in the United States. It really does. It's got danger. It's got food. It's got some
thrills. It's got for thrill seekers. Okay, running pell-mell down.
Isn't that what we all are?
Like oh, sure. Yeah, you would think.
And it's a participation sport. Anybody can play.
That's right. Anyone
the two of us, John. Even Karen. Bad knees and all. Let's.
No interest.
Well, the funny thing is, though, if it originated in the 15th century,
wow,
what does that tell you? People have been doing this for hundreds of years.
Centuries. Centuries. I can't believe. Well, John, as always, you pulled out a sport that I never would have anticipated.
Paul, to be candid with you, I never knew it existed myself.
She's rolling. She's rolling. All right.
Oh boy.
Wow. I'm hungry now. Between all this talk about candy and I'm hungry. But we can't stop for snacks until we play Bluff the co-host.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody's favorite game.
Yep.
People who have tuned into the show before, if not, I have 3 stories that are very similar to the ones I've been telling all afternoon, except one difference. They may be true, they may be a bluff. And it's up to Karen and John to decide if the story is true or if it's a bluff.
Yep.
You ready? Hands on the buzzers.
Yes.
Who won last week? I think Karen was.
John.
John won.
In a surprising move, I think I had two right.
Yes,
That's
he
right.
did.
Which was, for me, is good.
After the hiatus. That's right. Okay, well, let's see how you do today, John.
Okay.
These again, stories from around the world. Story number 1. Airline pilots around the world like to let their passengers know when their planes are flying over points of interest, and will sometimes go slightly off course to do it. However, 2 Russian airline pilots are in trouble for a different kind of sighting. To show support for the captain of Russia's national soccer team, who was cut for making a sex video, the pilots changed course and flew their plane filled with passengers around, first in 2 circles and then in one long oblong shape to form what looked like an aerial penis. They would have gotten away with the prank, except it was picked up by air traffic controllers who saw the giant organ on their screens. The 2 pilots have now been fired too, but are already getting calls from special airlines that help couples join the Mile High Club. So, the passenger plane pilots who get caught drawing a penis with their plane over Russia. Real or bluff? Karen, we'll start with you.
This is just, where are you coming up with these weird stories? I just can't. It's got to be a bluff.
Got to be a bluff. Okay, very definitive answer there. John, how about yourself?
Paul, I have to concur. I just think it's too bizarre.
Too bizarre.
Even
for Russia.
Even for Russia, and I think it's a bluff.
I wish I would have taken a picture of it because it's true.
It's true.
True. Yeah, they love this guy. Apparently, the soccer star. He was he's doing the Anthony Weiner thing, taking pictures of wieners, and got caught and got cut from the team. And the pilots, in a show of solidarity. Yeah. Russia.
Hard to fathom.
Okay, well, it's so. The score is still tied, 0-0. Story number 2.
Okay.
As if parents don't already have enough stress during the pandemic, an elementary school in France had to put up signs warning parents who are dropping their children off late not to toss the kids over the locked gate. The gate isn't very high, and some kids actually liked it, but school officials don't want the liability and suggest parents pay closer attention to school hours. In case the parents themselves don't take time to read the sign, they can, through the cigarette smoke, this is France, the sign has a cartoon of a kid flying over a gate inside a red circle with a line through it, the universal sign to not do this. If parents refuse to comply, the school will transfer their children to a nearby school for acrobats and circus performers, where kid tossing is part of the curriculum. So, the school that had to post a sign to stop parents who were late from throwing their kids over the gate that was locked to get in. Real or bluff? John, we'll start with you on this one.
I'll tell you, Paul, I'm hoping it's a bluff. I'm hoping it's a bluff.
Even in France. You remember, we're talking about France here.
I know it's France. Okay. I know it's not the U.S., but no, I'm going to say it's a bluff.
Karen, oh boy, Karen is imagining this.
I really have a headache over this one.
Can you imagine throwing your kids over the fence?
No, And,
okay.
and if they're doing it, I want to report them to family services. So
There you go.
no, it's a bluff.
It's a bluff. Even though they put up a sign, you'd still report them to family
Yes,
service.
I would.
Sign doesn't count. Guess what? That's another real story.
Oh my God.
No!
What's going on in Europe? Or,
Can you
Russia's
believe
considered
it?
to be in
Yeah.
Europe and Asia. What's
France.
going on over there?
You're
You know,
your
French.
kids over a
Hey,
fence.
Buckley Blue, we're late. You know,
Oh my
throw
God.
Pierre over the
Oh
fence.
my Lord. Oh geez.
Okay, all right. Well, let's get right to it here, boy. You guys need this one.
Yeah, we do.
Double or nothing
Yeah.
on the last one here. Here we go. A man in Indonesia who makes wooden coffins in his backyard came close to ending up in one himself when a huge rock crashed through the roof of his house just seconds after he walked out. Knocking on one of the coffins for good luck, he walked back in and found a football-sized hot rock smoldering in his living room. After posting pictures of the rock on social media while waiting for his insurance agent to arrive, the man instead was contacted by a meteorite expert who recognized it as a valuable 4.5 billion year old space rock and paid the poor coffin maker $1.8 billion for it. The coffin maker immediately quit his job after building one last coffin to hold the cash so that he could bury it in his backyard. So, the coffin maker, who is now a millionaire because a meteorite crashed through the roof of his house in Indonesia, not Russia, not France, Indonesia. Let's see, that was Karen. John, back to you, Karen. You go first.
What do I have to lose? True.
Oh no, this is a desperation guess.
Yeah, it is.
John is thinking this one over.
I am mulling it over, but I think it is so strange. It is true.
John thinks it's true as well. Wow. Let me look at the bottom of this. It's real. It's a true story. Very good.
Wow.
Imagine that. A rock falls through your ceiling and you get a $1.8 billion.
We're tied.
Not
Yep.
a bad deal. Yeah.
We're tied again. Well, hey, Paul, let me ask you this. There's a trend that I've been picking up on lately that the bluffs are either all true or all false. So I don't.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm picking up on that. So
Yeah,
you
you're
may
picking up
wanna
on
have
that.
a chance
Well,
to
okay.
think about that a
Keep
little
telling
bit,
yourself
yeah.
that, John.
Listen, I spend a lot of time thinking about not only the bluff, but then my answers, if it's right or wrong, and I kind of like go over it like it's a post-mortem. It's like, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? Where did I go off on this? So again, I'm studying it, and I'm giving you a little bit of statistic on that. So
I want to send a message to your lovely wife that if this is a problem, send your hate mail to John, not to
Yes,
me.
yeah. I think John needs to get a life.
Oh, that's terrible. Oh, Karen. He's retired.
I love him. I love
He has
him.
that kind of time on his hands. So,
Thanks,
John,
Karen,
all right.
thanks.
Thank you for playing,
All right.
Karen. Thank you for playing. Thank you to everyone who's listening live or who are listening to us in the future on whatever podcasting platform you prefer. Thank you for coming to What in the World. Go visit newclevelandradio.net where Karen has a ton of great podcasts as well. And we'll be back next week with more weird news.
We'll be back right before Thanksgiving.
Right before
Oh,
Thanksgiving.
yes.
Oh, we'll have to take that into account.
All right. So
Okay.
everybody have a great day. Stay safe.